In this tutorial, I'm going to build out JWT authorization strategy using the Rust programming language. The framework of choice is the Axum framework, pretty much like the one I used in the last part of this series. So I already created my Rust application and have it open in VS Code. So let's get started by installing our dependencies. For this, I need the Axum framework, okay. So other frameworks will be added as I go on, pretty much like I did in the last tutorial. If you haven't seen that, I would add the link to the comment section below. So I'm going to restructure this application to make importing the reusable modules easy. So let's get started with that. So I'm going to create a lib section. Alright, there we have it. So I'm going to open this in my terminal to make it easy. Okay, so let's start with this. So I'm going to call this I'm going to call it, this is auth JWT, so let's use that. The way I love to put this is to create a struct with identical name as the name of the package. Then I can create a method that can be called from the main entry point of the application. So I have auth JWT so I can do okay. So we'll come back to this and I can refactor this to use Tokyo, the Tokyo runtime. Then I can import my application into the entry point. Okay, now this is going to fail because there is no app in the package, so I need to put, and that solves it. To be sure everything works up to this point, let me do okay. Alright, so it works, so we can go on to set up the Axum framework. So to do this, I I would love to set up my route first. Okay, I have and the state is for managing my application state. So more on this as we go on, but let's come to the route and let's do. So this is going to return a route. So I'm going to do. No, I made the same mistake like the previous. This should be a router new. And this should be a router between in a get. Okay, then this hello world function does not exist, so I'll need to create that. So let's come to okay. What I would love to do is I would like to create a folder called handlers. Then I would like to put all my routes therein. So I have in my handler I have okay, then I can move this into this and I can reference that from I would just call it handler. Okay, alrighty, so let's start with the root handler. Okay, so I want my root handler to contain so this is just going to return a string. And then I can put this this should be here, and I can import protected. I can say root, and I can say okay. Okay, then I want to add an else check to this part. say health check. This is also going to return a string. Okay, and there we have it. So I can put this in the routes. So this should be the base. And this should be get. Okay, so I have the basic route up and running, and I can come here to set my application up here. So let's get started. Let's say my port. Okay, then I have so I'm using this, then I'm binding it to the unspecified is the same thing as what we have as HTTP, I beg your pardon. Okay, so it's the same thing. This should be socket address. There should be a socket address. Socket address for this should be. Okay. Then I can bind this using my TCP listener. But first I can initialize my application, so I can say let app equals out. So this should be my address. Okay. Okay. Then I can do let my listener equals 2. binding it to the address. Okay, and this gives a result type. To manage the error, I'm going to add anyhow. Okay, then I can do I want to serve the listener and then my app. Then I can remove this. Okay, then I can do okay. There we have it. So I need to make this reflect that. Alright. Okay, I think we have this set up. We don't need this. Not this. So I can do alright, to be sure this works, I'm going to use the Thunder client to test this out. Okay, so I can just use this. Alrighty, so it means the application setup is working fine. So I can go on to other part. What I want to do next is I want to set up my database. Now, since this is a JWT authentication strategy, and I'm trying to model it as close to a production application as possible, so I'm going to set up my database using ORM. I have ORM here. So I'm just going to go straight to the installation. Okay, so I have this. So I'm just going to copy this straight to my application right here. Then the database driver, I'm going to use SQLX. I think it's SQLite, something like that. Yes, this is my database driver. And I'm going to use my runtime for this would be Tokyo Rust LS. Okay. Then I can just watch this. And I can do to sort my dependencies in the alphabetical order. Right. While that is being built, let's go over this. So my database connection. So what I want to do is that I want a configuration file that I can use in my application. I'm going to call it config.yaml. So let's create that. So I can create a configuration file at the very root. So I can say and I want this file to contain my application my application port, then the database connection string. So I want $3,000. Then I want database connection string to be I'm just going to call this alt JWT.db. Then my JWT sign-in key. And this should be, I'm going to generate API of random key. So I have this extension, random, is a random word generator. That's what I use. You can check it out from the extension, just for test environment, of course. So yeah, let's go on from there. Now I want a way to be able to use this configuration in my application. So I'm going to create a config file. So I want my configuration file to be a struct that has those fields. So I have okay. Okay, I forgot to add this. This should be alrighty. So there we have it. So I can do alrighty. Okay, so I want to be able to extract the configuration file from the configuration key and the value pair from this. Alrighty, so let's have it. So I can do try and see if the config part exists. Now if I'm able to read it, so what I want to do is I want to read the file as the YAML file. So I want to do read the string. Alrighty. Let's read this. Now if it happens that I'm unable to read it, I want to see the part that is being passed rather. So I'm doing error print. Okay. Alright. So I can return the config from here. So what I want to do is I want to have the default application port, so I can do so this is U16 and I can have this as 3000. So I can do sudo default. This should be okay. Let's run this. Most assuredly it's going to fail. Let's just do cargo run. So it should be cargo run. It's going to work because I haven't import this configuration into the application. So let's revamp this, starting with the app.rs. So I'm going to do this. So I'm going to use the configuration in this file. So instead of saying this, I can do Alrighty, so I can just import this in other places in the application. Okay, so I can start with this. I can do, instead of having this here, so I can do config.port. And this is going to fail. Couldn't read the configuration file part because it is not specified. So I can stop this and I can do config file equals to then I can do cargo watch. Okay, let's check that again to be sure. This is config file. This config.yaml. Okay, let me rename this to YML, and I can run this again. Okay, so this is the config file part, so we can continue from there. Up and running. What I want to do next is I want to set up my database. I already installed CORM, which is the ORM I'm using. The other ORMs out there, there is Diesel and there is SQLX, which is not exactly an ORM, but it's lets one write SQL queries, and it makes it very easy to work with. So I'm going to use CRM instead. You can be sure to check out other things. So I have my database connection already, and what I want to do is I want to import that into my application. So I can do what I can do is so I can do this. This should be connection options. So I'm going to, okay, so I'm following the guide we have here, but since it's an SQLite database, the connection timeout, the idle time, and some of these options wouldn't be necessary. So I'm just going to keep it to SQLX logging. Then I'm going to ignore the rest. So let's work that out. So I'm going to do connection options. This is CRM connection options, and new, and so I can do config that database connection string. Let's go. So, all right. Alrighty, so I have that working. Alright, so when working with the Axum framework, when I add things such as the database connection or state that is shared across the application, I need to add this. See, my database is created, so I need to add this inside the application state. So let me build that out in a moment so we can connect the database to the other part of the application. So I'm just going to do I can do, let's call it DB for the database, and database. Of course, if there are other states, I can just come to my application state and extend it. So I can do database connection option. There we have it, and that should be it. Oh, I need to import this from no, this is not what I want to do. So I want to be able to pass my application from this part, this database. I want to be able to pass it to the state and to be able to import it in other part of the application. So let's take a copy of this. Say this is DB, and this is a reference to database connection option. So I can do db.clone. Alright. So I have debug and I have clone. Just clone. Alright, and I will not need this. Oh, should be clone. Alrighty. So I can do let upstate from DB, right? Then I can do this. I can add the state to it. With state. Okay, so what I want to do is this is upstate, and this is going to fail because of this, so I need to make provision for that. So I need to do some revamping. So I'm just going to do in the handlers, I need to restructure that. So what I want to do is in the routes rather. So what I want to do is I have let's call it a router. This is the part of the application. So I have a single router pointing to the protected, the root, and the user route. So I can do a router here. And instead of this, I can call it a route is fine. Let's give it that route. So I can do pub. Let's call this a router, and this returns the app router with app state. Alright, now one of the reasons I created the lib.rs is I don't need to import all of this in my pkg in my main.rs file, so I can just add them to the lib.rs, so I can organize my import, and I can just have so I can always back trace this whole thing. So this is the application entry point, and I can go from there. Pretty much that. So I have router here, so I need to do new. So all the base application, all the basic one, let's just do base here. Oh no, so we can do okay. I think I can just move this out of the whole thing, right? And the out check, I can add it or leave it out. So I can do route. Alright. But I think I'll just leave it out, so keep this basic. So let's work with this, and I'm doing this anymore. Right. So here we were setting up the database, so I can come back here and I can do router. Good. So you have this working fine. Awesome. Okay, now that the database is set, what I want to do next is for a production kind of application, we don't want to overwrite our database structure. So what we want to do is we want to have entities and migration. So I'm going to create that. Let's see, getting started with migration. Okay, so I already have the CLI installed. So what I want to do is CRM migrate init. So you can do that here. Oops. This should be ORM. Alright, so I have my migration here, and so I'm working with SQLite, and I'm working with runtime Tokyo Rust LS, right? So that's pretty much all I need to do. And for this, I want to create a user with email, first name, last name, and password, and the user is able to sign up, log in, and access a protected endpoint. So so I'm going to rewire this migration to feature that. Okay, so I'm just going to remove the to do, and I'm going to remove this too, so I can rename this to I can call this user information. Yeah, I can call it user information. User information, right? And I can have the table, the ID, then I have first name, I have the last name, and I have the email, and I have the password. Okay, then I can input that here. This has been removed. Now I want my ID to be unique, and for it to be a UUID. So I can do I can wrap this. I'll call it UUID. Then I can do it's unique. Nope, it should be here. Let me get this. It should be here. And this is the primary key. That's the unique key, and that's just the primary key. And I can do for the rest. I can do okay. I think what I want to do is I want to import this into the main application because of the IntelliSense. So I can do migration. Alright, second done. Awesome, I think that should fix it. I don't know what the problem is with the IntelliSense. Let me check out my Rust analyzer. Oh, okay, so this should be in the workspace. I need to rework this. Alright, so I'm just going to call this the first name and this the last name. So I can duplicate this field. The other one for the password. Right. And I can make this the unique key, the primary key, and make it unique. And this wouldn't be author, instead it would be UID. And here it would be it would be unique key, and it's going to be the primary key, and that's offset. Alright, I think we are set. With that, right? So that's pretty much it for the migration. And according to CRM, the next thing I need to do after migration is my entity. So I need to set up my entity, right? That'll be somewhere here. Okay, so I can set up my entity. So I have this should be a library. Alright, it should be a library, not a binary. So I can use the CRM generate entity, and I need to specify the output. Right, so I can do oops, I need to add the database. I think this should be database. This is my database URL. I need to paste it here and retry. There's something I'm missing here. Okay, let's try. Let me check this out in a moment. Alright, that fixed it. So this is the generated entity, but instead of my lib.rs being empty and containing this default thing, I'm just going to move it away and move this. Oops. There's something I need to do. I need to run the migration first, so I'm able to generate the entity from the migration. So let's do that. Run the migration. So here's what I want to do. So I want to be able to run the migration once the application starts up, right? So I'm going to add that to my main.rs. So the main.rs will be responsible for running the application and running the database migration. So I'm just going to do So what I want to do next is to migrate this. So I need to import the migrator too. And this should be none. Alright, so I can have this. So I can have this run my migration every time I start my application. So let me try this to be sure. So what I want to do is I'm using SQLite and the path. There we have it. Okay, I've used this more than once, so I'm going to delete some of the previous connection that I have to. All right. All right, so let's try again. Oh, I don't know this. Alrighty, so let's see what we have. So I have my user information table and I have the tables set. So I can rerun my migration now. My entity generation rather. So I have the user information here. So I can just copy this and move it here. Okay, for this to work, I need to install CORM in the entity crate. So let's get that installed. Or I'm just going to copy this and trim it. Where's my CORM? So this won't be necessary. So this that should get us up and running. Right. And finally, I need to import the entity crate here. Right. Wow, very well then. Most of the database work has been done. I have my migration and my entity already set up. So the next thing I want to do is I want to have a protected route, then the user's route. The user's route is basically the login and the sign up. So I can work on the protected route. This is very simple and straight to the point. I can just put some, say an handler that returns a string, just to keep it very basic. So I can do let's say some async. Alright, okay, let's say to keep it very basic, we just return alright, okay. Alright, this will get us up and running. So what I need to do right now is I need to set up my error a model that is responsible for a crate that is responsible for managing error, just like we had one responsible for managing the application configuration. So I can have one, say, error.rs that manages the error in the application, and I can have one JWT.rs that manages the application JSON web token. So this is where we get to do the signing and the crypting and the encrypting and the decrypting of the JWT keys. Alright, I'll get started by implementing the error crate first, and the JWT should be at the root of the application here, not inside the handler. So let me start with the error. Now, the essence of implementing an error crate when building a Rust-based application is that we can have a dedicated module or a dedicated crate for managing errors in the application, right? So I'll start with an enum called app error. And this will take several variants, and the variants are basically the kind of errors that I would get in this application. So I have okay, and then of course I need to add this here. Now, server error is a struct, and I want it to be a kind of, say we have a function, sorry, let's call it server error, and then it takes the message, right? If the message is not provided, it gives the default. So I'm going to follow that. So I have right, then I have this shot the comma. Okay, this is in case these are signing in with incorrect username or password, and I have a database error. Maybe there's a problem getting this have a comma too. Alright, so I can just duplicate this one more. So I'll call this not found, and this conflict. Alright, basically they all have the same structure. Now what we want to do is that now Axum provides a way to get our responses. Now there's an into response trait. Let me see if I can pull that up. Yeah, so I can implement this for, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. So I already have my error, I have the errors here, so I want to implement into response for the app error, which is the same as my error in this case, right? So let's do that. So I want to destructure the status and the message. I want this to give. So it gives a tuple, which is the status and the error message, right? So the tuple is status code. Status code, and this is internal server. And this can say, so if the message is provided, we are going to use this message. Otherwise, it's going to be okay. Now to get rid of this error, what I want to do is I want to come here and but it should be to string. Then I want to add the other part, so I'll just come back and fill them out, right? Okay, so let's do this very quickly. So I can do okay. So bad credentials error can be a bad request, and then I can say so if it is a wrong credentials, I can say something wrong here. This should be some, say, and finally I have I think that's all. Yeah, so I can now checking this, so I have to call the into response on it, right? But what I want to do is, since this is structured a bit differently from what we have in the documentation, I want to do all right, let me start this. My configuration, I think we called it config file. Alright, so let's build out the unlock for the user. That would be the user signing, the sign up and the sign in endpoint, and then we can go on to implement the JWT afterwards. Right, so what I want to do is start. Now for each request coming in when using the Axum framework, now we have to structure the request using extractors. So this is what I'm going to do. So let's say to register a new user, I need a request extractor, basically a struct. Have the dog. They have this registered here. So let's call it register request, and then this is going to be okay. It's going to call. And then we have the password is also string. Alright, so I can do now. What I want to do is that I don't now I want this handler to return a result type, and I don't want to have a lot of boilerplate code here, right? So let's create a return type. Let's just call it say API response, right? Then API response is going to return a response body. Well, let's just keep it at this first. Let's create something like that here. So we can call it shared. Can't seem to think of the best word to call it right now. So let's create that. So it's going to manage the response structure. So we can do, and basically it's an alias. So the now this should be here. Mode shared. Alright. API response. It takes a type. Right? And then it is a result. So the first variant, results always have okay, status code, and then the type. So in the application we can come here and we can do something like right, the type, now the concrete type. So let's build out this, and this can be, now if it's not if it doesn't exit successfully, then it should definitely give an error, which I already built. Okay. Now I want the response body to be a generic alias too, and basically what it does is it returns alright. Okay, so I want a way to be able to convert this to response. just like we did for the app error the other time. So I'm going to build out a custom trait saying let's call it so I'll call mine into API response, and let's make this a generator. So it takes one part now from parts. Now why I'm making this optional is because now there are times that originally the API should return a 200 OK response, but there are times I want it to be 201, say 204 and the likes. So I'm just going to make this optional, so default to 200, and then yes, this is going to return and then that's pretty much it. Okay, this shouldn't have a pub anymore. And finally, what I want to do is I want to implement this trait for this type. So this is going to be, since it's a generic, it's going to take implement. Okay. Alright, so yeah, this is what I'm going to use to manage my response. So I can just come here and do and I can import this too. And that's still going to crash until it's built out. So let's flesh out the logic that goes in here. So what I want to do is I want to have my extractor. Well, build out the upstate the other time. Now this is built this way. It could have just been the database, but in case there's need for other state, we can just extend it and put more here. Okay, then I have my upstate, then the payload. Now the payload is going to be the register request I created the other time. So it helps us deserialize the incoming request into the struct, and we can just extract the fields from there. Alright, so let's build this out. And I have bcrypt installed. No. So bcrypt rather allow me to hash passwords. So bcrypt, and I think they are password hashes. I hope that is correct. Yeah, not exactly. I think it should be hash. Yes. Talks about different hashing algorithm, Argon, and I'm just going to stick to bcrypt. All I want to do is, this is a result type, so I just want to return an error if it's unable to hash the password for whatever reason. Originally there should be a kind of request validation before this, but I'm just going to keep it very minimal. So I'm returning server error. No, this is not what I want to do. So I can just leave the message as none. So it's going to use the default. Now there's a problem here. So you're going to use the default message that I have there. No. Okay, so I have a string here. Now what I want to do is I want to see if the mail already exists. I want to let's do CRM. I want to do select. So I want to find one thing. Just finding my primary keys. Alright, I think this should be and then I need to import so what I want to do is see if this entity trait. Yes. Then I need the equal trait, I believe it's called. It should be query filter. And this should be a column trait. So this should get us up. Now, if this exists, if a user is found with the mail, I want it to return a conflict error. So right now I can just have this validation before hashing the password, but this is supposed to give us some kind of a validation against incorrect data. But since we are not concerned with request validation, so I'm just going to leave it as it is. So yeah, I can now save the new model. We have active model and now CRM provides this set that can be used to and this is the password we hashed here. So this is user information entity, and then I can save this into the database. Right, so yeah, the user has been saved, and then but if there's a mistake, this should be wait because of the feature. Now this gives a result type rather, so I want if doesn't exit successfully, so I want to do database error. I'll just do the default to keep it very basic, none. Now that would be internal server error, couldn't process request at the same this time. That would be couldn't process the request at this time. Please try it later. Okay, that works. Then if all checks out, I just want to return my from part. And the status status should be 201 for created, so it's not going to be none. Created. And what's wrong here? I think no, this shouldn't be here. And this should be some. Alright, so we have that. Then we can do the login. Right, but just before that, I want to work on the JWT part of the application. Then we'll come back to the login and we work that out. Exam provides an example of how this may be implemented. I'm just going to do it a bit slightly different. I think we have this. Examples. So we need the keys, and then we need this request extractor, and basically that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with my claim. Say JWT claims. So this is going to return. It's going to take the claim and return a new token, right? So we're going to do. So let's check this out. I'm just going to leave that. So we already have our claims. Then I want to encode the token. This is essentially what we're trying to do. And then we're just going to do now to encode the token we need the header, then the claims, the encoding key. So let's do with that. So we need the header first. Now this takes a reference to the header. If I do header default, then if I do self, I can do okay, encoding key from secret. Now our secret is that's our secret. So it's already referenced in the configuration. So I'm just going to do config JWT sign-in key, and that should get us up. But this is going to fail because this should be as byte, and even at that, it's still going to fail. Okay, this should be here. Alrighty. Now this should be a reference. That's what I was trying to get, and this should be a reference too. And I'm trying to get this. Okay. Let's make this a result type. And we can do, or we can just copy it from the error. So you can do copy this. You can just put it here. So that should get us up and running. So we'll be able to get our JWT token from there, and we can do we can pass the token. That's the decryption. Let's say get the token or the claims. Call pass token, and then the token is the string. The string that we got from this part, and then this is going to give us the claim. Or let's just make this a result type too. Okay, let's fill out the arms. Okay, so I'm able to generate token and encrypt and decrypt. So I want to be able to extract the token from the request head. Now Axum also provides a way to do this here. That should be here. So we do from the request part, and then I'm just going to copy this out. Then I'm going to revamp it. Alright. Now this is going to fail certainly. And this is called JWT claims in this part instead of auth error. This is called app error. Then I need to import parts. Should be request parts. Okay. So I'm going to just delete the whole of this and just rewrite. Okay. Whoa, I need Axum extra. It's not here, so I'm just going to add that. I think let me be sure that I'm not missing out anything. Oh, this should have typed header. Alright, so that should fix it. Then authorization, then you also have the bearer token. The bearer then equals now the parts I want to extract it. Okay, let's call it authorization header. Okay, so when I'm able to extract the BR token, what I want to do is that I want to get the user data. Now the BR as okay. It has a method called token that can be called on it to extract the token from it. So I'm just going to convert this to string. Then I have this result type, claim an app error, just like I defined here. Then I can just do if this is not successful, so I'm just going to do app error. Whenever I write this, let me map it out. So map error. I guess this solves it all. So we can do this, and now we already have our endpoint, our JWT, the error crate, the config crate, and the protected route. Now let's revamp this, but before that, let's try to work with this. Now this is our base URL, which confirms that the application is working. We don't need this anymore, so I can just remove it. So what I want to do is that I want to try and sign up a new user. So I'm just going to do post, and this is for the route I have. Okay, I need to register that. Say let's call it users route. The router I've been doing this, and then the other one is to log in the user. So I can do call a login. Okay, I need to come back and implement that. So, all right. Let me work that out. And this gives API response just like the previous one, and it gives response body. Now what we want to have in our response body is pretty much identical to the one we had for the register request, just that we'll be returning the token, the JWT token. This should be, let me see. So I can just copy most of the extractors I have here and just modify it accordingly. That's going to be like request. So let's implement this. So what I want to do is I want to get the user data. Okay. Now this is pretty much identical to what we did here. So I'm just going to copy that and have it here. And to prevent this error from coming back, so I'm just going to go to the at the very end of it. Alright. Alright, I'll call this one. Yeah, let's leave it as okay. And the error wouldn't be this. The error would be in not found. The error would be in not found error. Okay, so if the password is not correct, or if there's a problem verifying the password, I want to return a wrong credential error. And this gives a wrong credential error. Let's just keep it at the default. There's a problem here. Okay, yeah. Let's revamp this. Let's this will convert it to an option. And this should have yes. Let's keep it as okay. No, essentially this is the same thing. And then what I want to do is I want to convert this to an option 2, so I can call sum on it. Alright. Wrong credentials. So I'm just going to keep this at the default too. Then I have now we have it that the user data is found, and we're checking for the password. If the password is correct, if it's not correct, we return an error. Then if it is, we want to create a new token, so I want to sign the token. So this is let's say JWT token. Now I want to extract it from this part. This gives a result type. So once the claims, and then we have new. Now new is the user data dot email, and this is the user data dot ID. Or by ID. And finally I want to call the gen token method of this for me to be able to get my token. So I get a string, otherwise I say else. Just copy this and modify. What this is going to be. Okay, this should be the string. Alright. Finally, we can do can build up the response body, which is basically our JWT token, and we can say token alrighty, and then I can remove this. I think I have anyhow jumping into my code again, so I can remove that too. What am I getting here? Oh, this shouldn't be here. Okay. Yeah, I think we're done. So let's try to register a new user. Nope, we aren't. I just want to have the protected route. Now this would be, say, if it to be for e-commerce, it can be profile, it can be anything. So I'm just going to leave it as protected. I'm just going to leave it as protected route. So let's say what I want to do here is this would give then I can just say let's call it let's just put it as today, and then this is a get, and the handler is this unprotected resource. So I'm just going to import that. Then I can nest this too. Now I'm putting it as API to be able to tell it to be able to distinguish it from the one that is not protected. I can just call this protected route. Okay. Let's make it more human friendly or protected. Of course, this can be anything. Just for demonstration purpose, I'm going to leave it as protected. Then I can just put my health check back to make it have additional route. This shouldn't be here. This should be here. Alright, so I have everything set up. The route handler. Yeah, the last thing I want to do is I want to implement the claim on this protected resource, but first I want to test out the route that has been built. This should be a get. Okay, so this works, and then I want to register a new user. Now this is protected, but it keeps returning. I'm able to get the resource, which should not be. So what I want to do is first I want to localhost 3000. This is registered. Okay, so I'm just going to register with this. I think this should be users. Nope. So let's retry. No, not this. Yeah. Here we go. Yeah, account created successfully, and if I try again, now user without me. So this confirms the register route works fine. So let's try to log in. So I'm just going to remove this. So I have my JWT token, right? And that works. What I want to do next is for the protected route. Now I'm able to access the resource by default, which shouldn't be. So let's do API/protected. So I'm able to get this data. So let's modify this, and then we can. What I want to do is I want to be able to use. I want uniformity of data being returned. So let's just call this my response body, and this my call this my API response. All right. So yeah, I need to add the JWT extractor to it, but one thing I can just I can do say claim. Now recall that this claim is going to be the JWT claim, which is the user credential. So I can do say claim.email or password. So I can use this to carry out certain user specific action, right? So I can just do oops, not you again. From part, and then let's just say on my status I'm putting it as none, which returns the now this LinkedIn error, since I won't be using it, I can just put it as this. and that should get us up and running. So let's try again. Protected, right? Because there is no authorization credentials. So I'm going to log in, then grab the JWT token from the response and head back here. I'm using Thunder Client. It's a VS Code plugin that lets me test my APIs right there in VS Code. So I have the BR token, so I can just add this to it and I can send. So there's something wrong. Let me inspect that. Okay, that's the message. And let's put this as out as message. Something isn't right. Okay, I'm going to inspect this. Alright, let's retry this. So I have this. Okay. I noticed is that even with the JWT, I'm unauthorized to access the resource. And why this is there is I had to inspect this example to be sure of what I'm missing out. The token expiration is not included, so I'm just going to use this as a quick fix. Say the exp here. Should be usize, and this should be this. Then I can log in afresh, obtain new token, and I can sign in with this. So I have this, but if the token isn't valid, so I'm going to get that error. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I need to do for this. I'm going to add link to the description in the comment section below.